Good day, everyone. So this week I want to talk about money shame, and I'm going to do it while I am reconditioning this garden bed. We've been doing renovations and the builder chucked a whole heap of stuff in this garden bed. Previously we've grown food in it. I don't know what he's put in this garden bed, so I'm not feeling confident growing food in it anymore. So it's just going to be a flower garden, which will look nice with the entry to the side of the house and just beautiful flowers, a row of beautiful flowers. So I'm excited to be doing this. But I wanted to talk about money shame, and also for those of you that follow me on Instagram, you might notice that I haven't been making an appearance on Instagram anymore, and that's because I am taking a well-deserved break from social media. I started off on social media when Facebook first came out, pretty much, or it was a few years in, and I was a social media marketer, and since then I've had online businesses, and being on the farm just makes me realize how much time I spend online, and especially social media, and I just felt like my body and intuition were just like, I need a break. So I've been taking a break, and it has been the best thing ever. We've been so much more productive. You know, my partner, his phone broke a couple of weeks ago, and he's gone back to an old flip phone, and he's really loving it because he doesn't spend time scrolling on social media as well, and he's been so much more inspired and productive with the farm stuff, and he's got an offline job as well, and we're just living in the real world, you know, and it's been really lovely. There have been a couple of times that I've jumped on to Instagram, and then I've just been like, ooh, my whole body just shuts down, and I'm like, nope, don't want to do this. Which is interesting because previously to, I don't know how long I haven't been on Instagram now, but a few weeks ago Instagram was my main source of income, and you know, and I didn't think that I could quit it and just kind of take a break, but I have. And now I've got an offline jobs. I do gardening and help people with their animals and farm work and just generating income offline, and it's been so great. So it's kind of made me realize that I don't have to rely on one thing, and if my intuition is telling me to take a break, I'll find a new way to generate income or adapt to a situation. So it's been really cool. I've really enjoyed that aspect. But I also wanted to talk about money shame today because it's been such a massive thing that came up for me recently, especially when I decided to quit social media. And I didn't quit social media because of money shame, but it was something that was coming up for me because of the nature of my business, because I work with one-on-one clients and do group programs. Some months can be like, woohoo, I'm gonna make it, it's gonna be great, and I feel abundant, and then the next month it can be just scarcity again. And I think partially it's due to my business model, and it's not working for me, especially because a farm costs a lot of money to set up, like a lot of money. Animals eat food and they don't stop, and you got to look after them, and so it's just been some big realizations that I need to change things up. And I tried a few things, and it just, you know, from that kind of stress mode, and it still wasn't shifting. So I recognized that there was a repetitive pattern with abundance, scarcity, abundance, scarcity, abundance, scarcity, and just this repetitive money pattern, and everything that I was trying up to that point just wasn't really working. So I was like, you know what, I got to step back, I got to reevaluate, and I just got to look at this from a different perspective. And so that's what I've been doing, just taking it easy and doing something different. And sometimes that's what you need to do in order to see things from a different perspective and be able to interrupt a pattern, an ongoing pattern in life. So that is what I am doing, and it's been so good. And I realized I had a lot of money shame because I was too ashamed to talk about my financial situation, and just felt, you know, even with friends, or I'd feel unworthy with talking to my sister or to my parents, or and this unworthiness, I guess, kept coming up when I would talk about my financial situation, and going through a stage in my life that I've never really experienced before, of so many times of scarcity. Like, my money has been going down to zero so much more frequently lately, and it has brought so much shame to me. And I was like, why do I feel this shame? So I started revisiting my childhood, as you do with inner work. And the family that I grew up in, we would talk about becoming millionaires and you know, imagine manifesting money and being successful, and a lot of it was surrounded around money. And there was also a lot of money trauma, a lot of fighting centered around money. So it was such an interesting dynamic, because from one perspective, we would talk about manifesting money and, you know, being multimillionaires and, you know, having a positive mindset. But then on the reality of our situation was complete scarcity, and there was fighting and, you know, dad beating us up when he was frustrated and all sorts of things like that. So this created such a mixed emotion, where I would come at money from the ego perspective of wanting to become a millionaire and attaching my worth to money, because that's what I was taught our worth meant when I was a child, is that financial success. And then from the other perspective, internally, I was still in that, like, I never had proof of, I was still in that childhood mentality of not seeing proof of abundance, and so struggling to create that consistent abundance for myself, or struggling to have money. I'd spend it quite quickly. My sister has done really well. You know, she's a multi-millionaire and has investment properties and a successful business and all of that kind of stuff, and that made me feel even more shame around my situation. I also had this realization that as a child, you know, when my parents would give, you know, would offer $5 to do the chores, I would quite happily bribe one of my siblings to do the chores instead of taking the money, while they would throw themselves at the money. So money has never really been that much of a value for me. It hasn't been a high value for me, and it's been kind of just conditioned and programmed into me for it to be a high value. And so recently I was just like, I've never really cared about money that much. I mean, I like what money can do, and obviously, you know, with the farm, I realized the worth of having money, and it's how important it is. And so I definitely want to have the money to set up this farm and keep it going, and I get excited when I earn money. But if my core value isn't money per se, and I'm just trying to force myself to make a value of it, then I feel like I'm skipping some steps. So I took a step back, and just admitted to myself that money really doesn't mean too much to me. The things that mean a lot to me is freedom and love. And I think money definitely goes into the freedom category at some point down the line. But I love human connection, I love animals, and working outside. I feel like I was kind of encouraged to go online as well, because I didn't really know what to do, and so I created one business online and it did okay. Like, it was successful in its own way, but just sticking to online stuff, I don't really enjoy being online that much. I really don't. And I don't really care for this money culture that's being created in the world, where everything is about money, everything is about profits, and it overrides human connection, ethics, morals. Like, I don't want to live in that type of a world where I'm not true to the core to myself. I don't want to create abundance from that space, because I've seen what it does to people, and then if they do have a realization that they're on the wrong path, then they have a lot of unwinding to do of things that they've already built that aren't in alignment to them. So I guess part of my break is coming back to myself and really making sure that, you know, when I do create abundance, financial abundance for myself, it is coming from a really solid foundation of me aligning to my core values and creating abundance from a place of those values, where humans are cared for, where morals are included, where, you know, I don't necessarily feel like I have to charge astronomical prices just because I can, to prove to myself that I can be abundant, but I charge the value that I feel is good, and not just making things unattainable to people, I guess. Like, there's just so many things that I've been thinking about, and I'm reflecting on that based on, like, the coaching world. Like, a lot of coaches, you know, charge thousands, like up to hundreds and thousands of dollars for yearly coaching, and good for them if that's what they feel is aligned with their values. But I just feel like the world has become so much about money that it doesn't allow for other values like connection and love and community to really shine through. Anyway, I gotta keep working. So I decided to record this video because shame is one of those things that can really stop you from aligning to your truth and living your truth, and stops you from living that freedom that comes with being your true self. So I've done a lot of clearing of shame around sexuality when I became a tantra teacher. I did a lot of clearing around shame when I embraced my menstrual cycle and the phases of being a woman every month and in our lives. And now I guess it's the turn for clearing money shame, and also disattaching my worth from money. And so the interesting thing is, having no money in my bank account, when it was starting to happen the first time around, it would create so much stress for me, and all of these old traumas would come up, and just so much chaos in my mind and feeling unregulated in my nervous system. But the more it started to happen, both me and my partner just kind of like in a way, I guess, got comfortable in it, and it didn't affect us as much. In fact, we just kind of played around with it and had fun with it, and we were like, well, we know that this is a passing phase, we just need to figure things out. And when we became more regulated, we could see more opportunities coming. He suggested that, you know, I put myself out there and do some manual labor with farm stuff and gardening, and I put an ad out on Facebook, and, you know, I'm charging $35 an hour, which is kind of like an average in Australia. And I have a couple of clients, and I'm slowly building up this business, and it feels really nice. It feels nice to be outside. It feels nice to be in my community and meet new people. I'm meeting incredible people. I keep getting gifted with things like candles and soaps that people make, or marmalade. And I've met incredible people. There's one woman that has an amazing horse, and we've been doing pottery together. She's become a friend of mine, and it's just been so nice. And so in a way, I feel more successful. Even though I'm not focused on money, I feel more successful internally. And now I feel like I can just scale everything right back and go, okay, so the first step is to build up my offline business. So this is my goal for my offline business. And then I can, you know, create some more things online if I want to, when I feel ready for it. And then I have this balance between offline and online, but I can do it from a place of not stress, but excitement and inspiration instead. And yeah, I just feel much better about that. Like, I feel I'm taking tiny little steps, but each tiny little step helps me build confidence. While when I was just focusing on money and comparing myself to other coaches online, my confidence depleted significantly, and that's when I started feeling shit in myself. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, I'm grateful that the money shame came up, because when I recognized that it was there, it allowed me to just trust my intuition and then take a step back and trust that things will unfold the way that they need to. And that's where I feel like I've kind of realigned with my path, and I'm able to take stock and make sure that all areas of my life are aligned, and I'm building a strong foundation for myself according to who I am and what feels right in my body. Instead of just going gung-ho and blazing forward and creating something that I hate along the way and doesn't give me the life that I really desire, or tarnishes my name in some way that I didn't really want, or creates a disconnect between, you know, my community and humans and me. Yeah. So money shame has been kind of a good thing. Going broke has been a really positive thing in some aspects. And now I realize that the tiniest little steps that I'm taking right now that are in alignment with who I am, you know, I'm creating this a little bit of financial security offline, doing laboring work, doing things that I really enjoy, moving my body, not just sitting in front of a computer 24/7. It was never 24/7, but sitting in front of a laptop or my phone and not really experiencing the world. And I feel part of my ayahuasca trauma, if you know the story of my ayahuasca, I'm going to keep talking about it because it was so significant in my life and I keep getting new insights into it. But part of that trauma was hiding myself from the world, and I needed time to heal and go internal. And I feel like it got to a point where it was too much you know, hiding myself from the world, and I was hiding myself from the world by just going online and not really participating in real life. And getting out into the community and meeting people and being around people, and yeah. So going broke and facing this money shame has been a really positive thing, and not trying to, you know, at first when the shame would come up, the normal pattern would be just try harder, or you just gotta like post more content, get the branding right, ask for advice, like how do I make this work, or try to push through in a way. And this time I just sat with it and allowed myself to be with it. And through that being with that money shame, I feel like I've released it. And I don't feel bad about talking about my financial situation anymore. Like, I don't have much money. But the money that I do make right now is, like, I'm really grateful for it, and I'm making it in a way that makes me really happy. And I feel aligned, and I feel more aligned with myself because of the breakdown of finances that I've had in this time of my life. And also, I feel like there's so much shame that we put around ourselves to be a certain way, that we always have to show that we're, you know, living this perfect life and things just don't break, and, you know, and finances always have to be flowing, but they don't. People go broke all the time. My situation isn't that unique to any other people, you know. People can't afford rent sometimes. I'm behind on rent for 2 months, and I'm working to pay that off to my sister now. So, and I think that has been the biggest privilege for me, because any other landlord would probably kick me out by now, or start the process, or maybe not. Depends on the landlord. Some of them have ways to pay off, especially if they've had good tenants in the past. I was a landlord previously. I had 2 investment properties in the past with my ex-partner, so I kind of understand that. But that has been a blessing, where there is this security living on this property, and even though I was stressed because I never want to take this security for granted, and I don't want to ever take advantage of my sister or anything like that, and her abundance, but that was also something that created shame for myself. And now that I'm kind of starting to, you know, everyone goes through hard times in their life, and things just break, and I think we all just need to be more forgiving of ourselves and of each other, and just go, hey, it's okay, like, just get back on your feet. And I wish that our system created more space for that, but the way that this system is brought up, the way that this societal system has been created is centered around money, and there's less forgiveness for people for when they do go through tough times financially, or when their lives break, when they go through breakups and they're emotionally distraught, or when partners die, or when there's disease, or, you know, there's no time to just give people a break and time to reflect and have rest, so that they can slowly gather themselves up, or process the emotions that they need to process traumas. And I feel very grateful that I've had that space, and I feel very privileged and lucky that have that space, because my sister is my landlord, and even though it sucks for her, I'm very grateful for that space and for that forgivingness, I guess. It can be hard because everyone is so attached to money, and, you know, we all have bills to pay, and yeah, We all have these expectations that we should all be always on top of our financial situation, but sometimes shit just goes shit. I just think everything happens for a reason, and I feel like this lesson in money at this point in time in my life is so beautifully perfect. Because through this breakdown in my finances, I was able to disattach the worth that I created from childhood, from my parents, from the family dynamic that I grew up in around money and success. And I've been able to disattach that from my worth, and then realize that I am worthy no matter what. I am born worthy. And then create from that space, create, a bit more financial security from that space. And kind of now I see the steps that I want to take as well, and it's coming from more clarity, and it feels like a fuck yes in my body. It's like my body is telling me that this is the right path, instead of constantly fighting against, like having to push through. I don't really want to force things, I want things to come from inspiration, and when my body tells me, this is right. And whatever happens moving forward, I know that I'll be okay. That I can create from whatever space. And it's not like life is always going to be easy now. Of course, there's always challenges. But I just feel like I've unlocked a new level of the game, and feel more secure in myself. Like I've created an extra level of safety within myself by disattaching that worthiness from financial success. The success that everyone puts up on a pedestal in society, and looking at other areas that I am successful in, but not bypassing feeling the shame, but actually sitting in it and learning from it. That has been amazing. And step by step, me and my partner are focusing on our dream of creating this farm from scratch. It's not easy, but we have more clearer steps now, and we'll get there. We just got to trust that we will get there, and life will unfold exactly that it needs to. And with each bump in the road, knowing that, having that trust in the universe, in myself, that everything is giving me lessons, that everything gives me the opportunity to grow and to learn. And sometimes you need that break in order to figure out what actually might be blocking you from achieving your deepest desires. Like for me, what that money shame and that conditioning and programming that I received as a child around money just being the greatest success, those were taking me away from my full alignment, and they became blocks in me achieving that abundance that I want. And even though I am earning, I'm not in the definition of financial success, I am so far away from it. I feel more aligned, and that alignment is making me feel more successful. And I feel like, okay, I can do this now. Like, what's the next step? And just looking at tiny baby steps now. And that makes me really happy. So thank you, universe. Thank you for this lesson. I really, really appreciate it. And I appreciate you watching this video. I am curious to find out how you feel about money. What patterns or ideas you were brought up when it came to money, and if you ever feel money shame, and if it has affected you and your self-worth. yeah, I'd be really, really interested in that. So let me know in the comments section below. And yeah, that's it for today. And I may appear on Instagram or I may not, I don't know. I like YouTube better because I like this longer format. I don't like shorter formats of information because I feel like, you know, life has so much nuance, and I've brought in so many different perspectives in this video and so many different ideas, and I just wouldn't be able to do that on Instagram. And Instagram just overwhelms me. It's just too much information. And no matter how hard you try, I feel for myself, you can't help but subconsciously be comparing yourself to other people's lives instead of really being grateful for the one that you have and creating what you really, really want in life. And sometimes Instagram is a part of that for some people. But I really enjoy just not being on it for now. And I don't know what my next moves will be with Instagram, but right now I think I'll just be on YouTube, on my email list. I'll still have my website. I might change the website up a little bit. Haven't thought about that. But yeah, right now I don't feel like I have to build this massive business anymore. For the first time in my life, I don't feel like I have to become this multimillionaire and become an entrepreneur, because that was the conditioning that I was brought up with. Right now I'm just focusing on paying my rent, paying off the 2 months of rent that I do owe, having enough food to put on the table and to eat healthy organic and feed the animals, and then put money aside to continue to grow our dream. That is all I want right now, and that is okay. So I'm just going to create from inspiration, create content like videos from inspiration. And if I do go on Instagram, I just feel more freer to just be more me. Be more me. And not create from stress and having to or needing to, but just because I want to. And that's the place that I want to create my business from. Because I don't want any part of my life to feel icky, like I'm out of alignment with myself. I want all parts to feel in alignment with who I am. And that alignment will change throughout life, but right now this is what is aligned for me. And I'm just really enjoying not forcing myself to be something that I was taught to be. And just focus on what feels true to me. So yeah, thanks for watching my video, and sign up to my email newsletter if you haven't already. Come on around.